Here is your grid for this race over 10 laps around Barbagallo Raceway. Tony James and Vince Chialella start on the front row. Brett Williams and Brad Bowley making a return to the sport this year at a row 2. Reg Ralph and Greg Dyson at a row 3. Travis Sharp and former drag racer Adam Michaelides on the next row. Over the page.
We've got Steve Pittman there, Mark Jones, Mark Ennis there, and Rodney Craig on 14. Craig Splatt, Gary McLaughlin in 16, and Nicholas Hanlon, David Trice at 18, and Terry De Silva and Brendan White.
On the page to Greg Gardner and Justin Chafee in the Hot Lap Motorsport entry. We're probably missing about a dozen cars in this one, but nonetheless, it'll certainly turn it on in this 10-lap race. So not much time to get the job done if you're down the field. Looks like everyone's almost in position. Tony James, the man on pole position, former HQ state champion and national champ as well. He's been a member of the WA Sporting Car Club since 1974, and he will start from pole position for this one. 5-second board is up.
They'll be building the revs right now and just looking at those lights, ready to release that clutch. Here they go, ready?
That's a brilliant start from the front row. We've got cars already trying to overlap 3 or 4 rows back here. But it's the 12 of Vince Chialella who's got the great hole shot advantage here into turn 1. And cars squirming their way on what would be semi-warm tyres.
He got a great start there, but Tony James, he got a terrible getaway. It's actually dropped right back down the field. Maybe he might have a problem, but he's definitely muffed the start there, unfortunately.
He's dropped down 5 positions, so he's down to 5th. We've got Travis Sharp back there in 6th position as the field wind their way through this uphill section through turn 5 and the run down to turn 6.
Yeah, Brett Williams looking pretty pacey there in 2nd position. He's staying with Vince, so we'll see if he can launch an attack on Vince later in the race. Sorry, Tony later in the race.
So Brad Bowley going side by side around here. Not recommended in that part of the circuit. It is really one line, isn't it?
It is a little bit, but it's one of those corners that you can approach the entry with quite a few different lines. So early part of the race, you've got to try and get positions while everyone's bunched up.
It's like James has come back to life here. The Morpher Vale Garage entry, the South Australian business. They went side by side through 7, and we're trying to make this 3 wide at the end of lap 1, but it's Chialella that leads from Williams. Dyson in 3rd position, and look at this 3-car scrap. It's going to be 4 in a minute as the chill entry of Bowley still hanging tough on the outside.
Travis Sharp there has got a position as well. He did a great job just to tuck in behind Tony James. So these guys are probably going to make their way back through the field and try and recover from a poor start.
Bowley had a bit of a stint away from the sport, just jumped back in the recent past. We pick him up on the backside of the circuit now on this downhill path to turn 6. Big view of the northern suburbs of Perth if you have time to look out the window.
Not at this part of the track,
no.
I can assure you. Very, very committed braking zone downhill. Every time you go down there, you're just hoping that you're going to pull the car up.
It's a replay of the start right now from the back of the field. A couple of the VNs making some passes. Oh, that's different. The Falcon on the grass. We've got another Commodore further down. Not recommended.
Not recommended. Not a lot of grip out there, but he gave it a shot anyway.
How many times have we seen that over the years here at Barbagallo? It is a narrow main straight as it's on now on the main straight, and the gap between 1st and 2nd has closed dramatically. It's down to 7/10 of a second now. You can see on your leaderboard on lap 3 of this 10-lap race.
Believe it or not, these guys will already be managing their tyres. The surface is so abrasive that you can see them slipping and sliding. They won't have the grip that they had in qualifying earlier yesterday. So the car will feel totally different, and those guys that have got a little bit better setup will sort of come into their own now.
I like the look of Brett Williams here in the number 3, the Cachet Holmes entry. They head down to the bottom, and a big lock up here, so he's under pressure. The run up. It's uphill, then it drops down, but then it rises up before that final turn. The TV doesn't do the justice of that rise into 7, does it?
Absolutely. You can see them coming over the hill now. You can't see anything, so it's quite a daunting part of the circuit, going quite fast. And down into the braking zone here, Tony James under brakes, gets that position. It actually goes back uphill, so you can brake a lot deeper than what you can think. Oops.
48 is gone of Dyson. He spins himself out of contention into the grass, and that'll drop him a ton of positions.
I like the team name there, Sponsor Needed.
Yeah, it's a popular one this time of the year.
It's a popular one for all race teams.
Sharp getting sideways, so the time management you talked about, maybe now as we approach half race distance, starting to come in.
no doubt.
This is the replay of James going down the inside, who started from pole position and now working his way back through the field. And Dyson just got on the gas a little bit here. Did he give the back of the 10 a little bit of a nudge?
I think he did tag the back there at Tony James. It looked like he was trying to get back underneath him, but just got on the gas a bit early. Good battle here between Jones.
Oh, the two VNs getting into it.
Got a P plate in the back there.
Brings back memories of my years growing up back in Adelaide as we pick up the leaders heading down the big long back straight that drops down, and now a challenge for the lead here on lap 4. It's a long way back. Side by side, they drill into each other. And they somehow keep going.
You can see him looking at Brett Williams there saying, hey, mate, give me a bit more room.
It's not lap 9 yet, boys. Settle it down. Look, he's getting back into it. The pole man is suddenly back into this.
Yeah, he's made up a lot of ground there, but those two guys in the front would have lost a lot of time with that manoeuvre in that last corner, but very committed in the manoeuvre there from Brett Williams. Got the job done at the end of the day.
Doesn't have to be pretty to be effective sometimes, does it? So now we've got a 4-car scrap for the lead at half race distance. It's a battle pack for first, second and third. It'll be fourth by the time we get down to turn 6. The basin here at Barbagallo Raceway. It's Williams, runs the car wide.
You see the different lines that they all take on the way in. And depending on how their car's handling, they might need to approach the corner slightly different to make sure they get a really good drive out of that corner and carry that speed all the way down the straight so they can attack going into this last corner.
Sometimes it's not planned, those new lines. Bit of pressure going on now. This is what we like to see in the saloon cars, the 6-cylinder class that was inaugurated back as far as 2000. We saw some cars debut in the 90s, the late 90s even, and now very strong right around the country. As Chiolella locks up the brakes, almost runs to the back. Bit of payback coming his way, perhaps.
Absolutely. Vince got a better run out of the last corner and looked to go up the inside, but thought better of it. The door got shut pretty quick.
Maybe saw the lap boards going, it's not that time of the race to do it yet. Still got 4 to go here at Barbagallo. Battle packs right through this 22-car field that started. These two still going at it. It's the 80 heading through, and it's on.
Oh, no.
The 59 goes around of Mark Innes, who's gone out us in turn 5. That just works, doesn't it? He's off the track, and he's not the first one to do it this weekend in that part of the circuit. The big thing here too, Tony, is that there's so much sand around this Barbagallo Raceway. Once you go off, usually that's the end of it.
Yeah, the guys are very grip limited, so as soon as he got a little bit of a touch going into turn 4 there, he was gone. He tried to catch it, but overcorrected and ended up in the sand. So he'll get going again, probably not a lot of damage, but unfortunately wrecked his race.
The flip side to that is yesterday we saw to lock up again, and this time he's gone. And Williams, the steam will be boiling. The kettle will be white with 2 when he gets back to the paddock.
That's unfortunate. Those guys are having a pretty good battle. It was quite aggressive, but you know, like turning someone around, wrecking their day probably isn't the way to go about it.
He's dropped back to at least 9th position as the 25 of Pittman just backs out of it here. I'll just sit with him for the next couple of laps. We're working lap 7 of 10 here, the saloon cars. Now we've got the slippery surface flag being shown down here at turn 6.
I think Vince is going to get in a bit of trouble for that one. You know, you can't really turn people around and make a position and wreck their day without sort of getting a penalty yourself.
Across the back here, that turn 3 of Mark Innes getting sent off into the bush. They're lucky sometimes not to roll in that section of the track.
Yeah, I mean, if it bites in the dirt there, you know, easily tumble over.
That was the gentlest of that. Just shows how much load's on the car going into that section of the circuit.
Here we go, replay.
And knock, who's there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it was intentional as such. You know, he's locked a tyre, run in the back of him, and unfortunately turn him around.
So he's dropped right down the field as the leaders come out of turn 1, that long double apex 1. Lap 8 of 10 as Chiolella leads from Sharp, heading down into this section. So it's Holden versus Ford, the classic battle in saloon cars here at Barbagallo Raceway.
Sharp's actually come from a long way back, so he's had a pretty good run in this race.
Started from 7th position and now staring down perhaps to win this race with a couple of laps on his side.
So Tony James must have been caught up in that incident at turn 1 there. He's dropped back a little bit. He's still in the hunt, but he's not at the front where he was. So we didn't get to see that properly.
They've dropped a couple of seconds there. They are side by side, as you mentioned it. And again, it's on. He goes down the inside. He has the optimum line here for turn 7. Bowley hangs tough. These guys know this racetrack pretty well. It just hits that massive curb on the outside of the circuit. Bowley holds on for how long? Reg Ralph starting to get into this one as well, behind the MVG sponsored number 41. So just 2 laps to go in this saloon car race, which has really turned it on as predicted.
That was a good bit of driving there by Bowley. You know, he didn't surrender the position going to the last corner and got the position back from James. So it is coming to the end of the race now. So you do get the elbows out a little bit and try and protect that 3rd position.
You can tell these guys have raced plenty of times. There's lots of respect. I wouldn't say it's been full respect, if you will, down in the front 2 guys today.
Oh, they've got to have a go, though. Here we go. James down the inside. That's great.
Nice. Bowley gave him plenty of racing room. He's going to run out of track on the outside where it's been resurfaced since we were last here in 2014. And now Reg Ralph lines him up down the back straight here.
That's always the worry, you know, if you try and hang on the outside, you can become vulnerable to the guy behind. So unfortunately, it didn't work that time there.
Oh, it's gone again. This time,
trying,
he's got Ralph alongside him. The next to the red Commodores, bounced across the curb. And Ralph will have the line down here to turn 1. It'll be the last of the late breakers heading into turn 1 on this, the final lap.
Oh, locks a tyre. Oh, he gets it in there, though. Bowley, I think he's done this before. I think he's done a few races here, and he knows where he can place the car.
Just teasing us, isn't he? He's our leader.
Back to the front now. See if Vince can finish off this race.
I think Sharp looks good. He can get a run down to 6 and line him up along the back straight. He could get the job here.
He's going to have a fair old dive. You know, he's a couple of car lengths back now. He'd be better off just setting himself up here at the bowl and get a really good run down the straight. Vince is sort of blocking a little bit. You can see Sharp's got right on the back of him now. So if he can have a bit of a lunge down the last corner, he might make this stick.
So this is it, last chance. They drop down the hill here at Barbagallo Raceway. You can see Chiellella driving defensively. And I think he's going to hold on to this one unless he makes a mistake. Sharp's going to throw everything at him in the final turn. Slides himself. Oh, he's gone across the other side of the curb. And the checkered flag goes to Chiellella. It was only a car length in the end. We go back to James and Bowley, followed by Ralph, who got across the line for 5th position. Then we go back to Williams, who have to settle for 6th position in this race. There's a bit of showboating going on further back in the field. Now look at this.
That was a great race. Everyone had sort of their elbows out, having a bit of fun, and that's what we want to see.
A great racing from the saloon cars here, part of the awesome support program, part of this UBET Perth Super Sprint this weekend. As we take a look at your results in race 1 of the weekend, Vince Chiellella, the winner, half a second was the margin at the end from Sharp back to James, Bowley, Reg Ralph in 5th, Brett Williams, Chris Nevesey, Adam Michaelides held on for 8th, back to Steve Pittman and Mark Jones in the top 10.
We got McLaughlin there, 11, Glass 12, Hanlon 13, Dyson 14, Splat, Craig, Trice, De Silva, Innes, Gardner rounding out the 20.